Hey guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. I have picked a special filming spot location specifically for this vehicle right here. What the heck is it? It's the redesigned 6th Gen 2024 Subaru Impreza. And guess what? The biggest news is that this has the return of a famous nameplate. It's the Impreza RS. But before we get into this all-wheel drive Oasis Blue hatchback, let's talk about what's going on here. Subaru, they are known in the auto industry for all-wheel drive perfection. Going back to the early 1990s, that was the birth of the original Impreza, and boy oh boy, what a rich history it has had over the years, not just as the Impreza itself, the Impreza RS, the 2.5 RS, WRX, WRX STI, and everything from there on out. Now, what's fascinating is that Subaru has decided to take a little bit different direction with where they're going with the Impreza nameplate. It used to be always attached to a WRX or an STI. They have since decided to separate the two, and we all know, and we're still probably, just like me, very frustrated that there's no new STI for 2024, but there is still the WRX, and now we have the return of the Impreza RS. I remember so clearly. I was a senior in college at the University of Central Florida, and somebody at the school had a blue with gold wheels, that iconic color combination, 2.5 RS. Now, it wasn't a hatchback, it was a two-door coupe, but had that nice large wing and really just made my heart pitter-patter. Well, it's been a hot minute, like I said, since the RS name has returned to the Impreza, but now for this 6th generation, they brought it back, and Subaru is only producing hatchbacks. No longer are they producing an Impreza sedan. So what I want to find out is, if you're looking for a hatchback that has a little extra pep, should you go Subaru Impreza RS, or should you maybe go Mazda 3 hatch, or maybe a Toyota Corolla, or even the Honda Civic hatch? Let's go ahead, let's dive into our bright Oasis Blue Impreza RS and find out. Right off the bat, new platform, it's actually 10% stiffer than the previous generation, and that's gonna help in many different ways. A more rigid chassis is gonna give us better driving dynamics, but it's also gonna help with what you feel and hear in the interior. Now, at the front of the business, you're gonna see the all-new lighting philosophy that Subaru is bringing to the table. I love the way it's all full LED. Turn signals, your headlight, and look at how slim. It's almost like spider fingers on this headlight design with those daytime running lamps. Working your way down, a little bit of gloss black on the exterior trim, but we do have those circular rally style LED fog lamps with some flat black in the bezel. I am digging what they have done with the angles at the front corner on this Impreza RS, and I'm happy to report no fake vents. Now, as we come across the grille, you're seeing a different direction that they're going in with their Subaru grille. A lot of times the grille would circle around the perimeter, but you'll notice now the bodywork intercepts and interconnects with the actual grille. We got that iconic constellation, the Subaru badge, so much history. A little bit of metallic gloss black, some flat black, that's all functional. And then on the lower portion, I like the way they enlarged this lower air intake. And of course, you have this extended flat black splitter that's gonna help take a better beating. Now, if you're comparing this to a Mazda 3, definitely the Mazda 3 hatch has a little bit more of a curvy, round kind of shape to it. And then looking at the Civic and the Corolla, those have more of a contemporary, modern feel. This, you could really see that connection to the rest of the Subaru lineup very clearly, whether it's the Crosstrek, the Outback, the Forester, or the mighty WRX. Now, as we rise up onto the hood, very interesting detail. So it angles up and then it plateaus. Obviously, for aerodynamic efficiency, it would have been nice if, just like on the 1998 2.5 RS, they would have some type of hood scoop. Doesn't have to be the same hood scoop as a WRX, but just some type of hood scoop just to kind of feed back into that connection and make the car a little bit more unique, since this is a little bit more performance oriented than what you would find on your standard Impreza. Now, as we come around the bend, what are we working with? Wheel and tire setup. So these are unique wheels to the Impreza RS. You have a nice, almost like a gloss black, gunmetal, dark black finish to the wheel design. It is a complicated design, but I think it works on the Impreza RS. And if you're wondering, well, Joe, what's the size of this wheel? 18-inch wheel, and you're looking at 225 on the width and a 40 series sidewall. They went ahead and redid all the suspension bits to fine-tune the driving engagement and feedback on how this Impreza RS handles compared to your standard RS. And then what's better than that symmetrical all-wheel drive, which comes standard? Honda Civic, you can't get all-wheel drive. Toyota Corolla, at least the hatchback, you can't get all-wheel drive. Mazda 3, you can get all-wheel drive, but it comes at a higher premium price where you have to add the turbo and all that other stuff. This, just like the other Subaru products, besides the BRZ, has symmetrical, full-time all-wheel drive. Love the way they did a great job on the side fender, nice and clean. This body line though, I wish they would have bulged it out a little bit more. And I'm gonna have Steven kind of show that off from the side. It like comes out just a little bit. If it was a little bit more bulge, I think for the RS, it would have been magical. Now, as we come down the side, you do have gloss black painted mirror caps on the RS, your turn signals, and then we have the return of that nameplate. Love the way they did the script to match the script from 1998, and they added these two silver end parts. Those are supposed to be piston tops, because remember, the engine in this Subaru Impreza, just like going back to 1994, is a flat 4 engine. It's a boxer engine, so the pistons are horizontal. And I like the way they tied that in. Now on the lower portion, you do have a gloss black side sill extension, unique to the Impreza RS, color matched Oasis blue. This is not hyper blue, this is Oasis blue. On the door handles, we got a standard size sunroof. And I like the way they didn't do gloss black around the window treatment. Everything just nice, clean, flat black. As we swing around, you're gonna have a flat black shark fin antenna. I am gonna zonk it. I would like to see that color matched. But once again, as we kind of swing around, you can see that nice job that they did with the rear fender. If it was just flared out a little bit more, boy, oh boy, I think a lot of Subaru fans out there would really appreciate something like that. And God forbid, if this had the same engine as the WRX, then you get more people even talking. And if you want to take it to the umpteenth level, put a manual transmission in this thing. There once upon a time was a manual transmission available on a Impreza. Only transmission available. We'll get to that when I pop the hood. On the Impreza RS, you have metallic. You'll notice it's not just gloss black, it's a nice metallic black on the rear spoiler. You do have a rear wiper, but pretty much the competition all has that as well. They did a great job on the design. LED on the taillights, but you do still have the old-fashioned Thomas Edison light bulbs. I could see Thomas Edison Tommy, as his friends used to call him, rocking in his rocking chair, wondering why everything is not full LED in the model year 2024. To wrap it off, we have an Impreza RS badge on the back. I like the way those two are tied together. They did a great job placing the DOT required reflectors. And then as we come across and lower down, you have your Subaru symmetrical all-wheel drive. The one bummer I have is no exposed exhaust. If this is an RS, I would like to see one exhaust pipe on each side with a nice finished stainless steel tip. But I do like the way they did the lower bumper area with that simulated diffuser style. But it's one of those cars where I'm seeing what they're doing, but I am also wishing. I'm kind of daydreaming a little bit. But why don't we go ahead, let's pop the hood and talk horsepower of this Impreza RS. All right guys, we do have the hood popped open. You do have a prop rod, but the rest of the competition across the board has a prop rod as well. Underneath the hood is that flat 4 engine. And this is what I love about Subaru engines. You could see everything. You have your intake plenum, 1, 2, 3, 4, because this is a 4-cylinder engine. You got your throttle body. You could see your alternator. You could see all of the different accessories that the drive belt is operating. It's really nice to be able to have that bird's eye view, but what are we talking about when we're looking at horsepower? So this has the 2.5, just like the original, 2.5 liter flat four, produces 182 horsepower, 178 pound-feet of torque. Now, before you jump out of your seat and say, that's not enough, remember that this does have 30 more horsepower than your standard Impreza and 33 pound-feet of torque more than your standard Impreza. 0 to 60 in about 7.3 seconds. It weighs 3,350 pounds. MPG's not too shabby considering we have symmetrical all-time all-wheel drive. 26 in the city, 33 on the highway. Here's another interesting fun fact. The electric steering rack is actually the same system plucked right out of the WRX. So when we're talking about feeling and feedback, that's something that comes from the more performance-oriented WRX. I would like to see a way to bump this up to at least 200 horsepower, or how about making a 2.4 liter RS and put the BRZ engine in here, 228 horsepower. But the great news with having a flat engine, it lowers that center of gravity, which is going to help us even more with handling. But why don't we go ahead, let's fire this up and hear what the Impreza RS sounds like. All right, guys, come on in to the 2024 redesign and reintroduction of the Impreza RS. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I desire hatchback versatility. I don't want a freaking SUV. They have tons of SUVs already on the road, but I've been also looking at the competition. I guess what's important to me at this point is not only how it drives, which I can't wait to go on throttle with you, Joe, but Joe, tell me now, what is the MSRP? So the way that you see this one optioned, Impreza RS, Oasis Blue, MSRP right around $31,000. Let's see what you get for the money. To the door panels. Very clean style on the door panel. Now, my biggest zonk is the cloth material. I wish they would have taken the leather style material on the armrest with the red stitching and put that where the cloth is. So that's actually my one and only zonk on the door panel. No gloss black, which is a pleasant thing to see. And then the door pocket is a pretty decent size. You could get a couple cheeseburgers and a small fry from Mickey D's and a Pepsi to wash it down. And we have the Harman Kardon sound system. Now going from the door panel to the dash, same story. Clean style. You got a little bit of gunmetal gray, which is not only on the door panel, but also here. One thing I would have liked to have seen is an RS badge on the dash. Maybe take the ones off the fenders, save one for later, and then put one on the dash. But as we slide in, what are you getting? You're getting that new 11.6-inch infotainment system, the portrait style. What I have on display here are the driving dynamics. Cool to have this display when you're driving, seeing the all-wheel drive work, your pitch and your roll and everything in between. You can click on your maintenance. This is a nice thing, and I love the way it shows the whole engine and chassis set up there with the drive shafts going back to the rear wheels. You hit the car icon, and this is where you could adjust all of your vehicle dynamics controls, the torque vectoring, all those different things. Easy to do. Shut that pesky auto start-stop feature off. And even across the top, we have information, including, as you can see, water temp and oil temp, which is a nice thing. You go back to home, and here are all your different apps that are part of what Subaru brings to the table. Well, another thing we're going to be doing is right there, shutting that off when we go on throttle on the twisty bits. You got your dual climate control. The one thing that takes getting used to is all the other functions of the AC are in this display. So you hit the center, and now you can make your adjustments touching the glass, or you can make your adjustments dual climate, obviously real volume knob and a real tuning knob. Other than that, everything else is on the screen. And then to get back home, you can hit that again and look, lickety split. You have a USB-C, an aux jack, and a USB-A, super large wireless charging pad. For those of you who have almost like an iPad that you carry around as your cell phone. This is going to control your CVT transmission that's been tuned for the RS. A little bit of that gunmetal gray, a little bit of gloss black. I'm glad that's all that there is. You do get your 2 stages of heated seats, 2 cup holders, a 12 volt, which I wish was closer. The reason why is you're going to want to run a radar detector, and it's going to be annoying to have that cord draped all over the place. But we have our key fob. I always think this is such a clean, classic design. A key fob doesn't need to be anything more, doesn't need to be anything less. Nice high level on the armrest, that's soft material with the red stitching. Open it up, you could easily put, I would say, 10 of those porcelain dogs that your grandmother used to give you for your birthday. She gave you a Dalmatian, she gave you a Greyhound, all these little porcelain dolls of dogs you could put in there and they're not gonna break. And that's what Subaru is known for. Dogs, that's what it's all about. And a lot of times, dogs are better than people. You got a little bit of a holder here for a small Twinkie, and then the seats are unique to the RS. Would have been nice to have the RS embroidery, all cloth, but I'm digging the red on the bolstering and on the bottom. Manual controls for the passenger, but guess what? For the driver, I have full electric assist, and we have a standard size sunroof, and I'm very happy that everything is dark in here, is black, not that beige rental car experience. But why don't you come over here to the business end? I want to show you behind the wheel of the new Impreza RS. All right, guys, behind the business end, what I do like is Subaru does a great pedal box and awesome aluminum pedals. Love the style, the size on the throttle, the brake, and even the dead pedal. This is what I'm talking about. There's cars that are 3 times as much as this one that give you just regular carpet. For an extra 5 horsepower, you do have the RS badging on the floor mats. And the seats are very comfy. Not a lot of bolstering, but I get it. It would have been nice though to have a little bit more, just a little bit more, but plenty of room. And that's one of the things, especially when you're looking at the Corolla hatch or the Mazda 3 hatch, their interiors are kind of on the tighter side. Steering wheel though, nice leather. You got the Babe Ruth style stitching all the way around, nice red stitching, flat black on all the switch gear. You do have paddles to go through simulated gears, because remember we have a CVT, but you have simulated gears to go through with the paddles. And then you have that small digital display in the center and RS specific gauges. How do I know? Because it says RS right in that speedometer. You do have SI drive, which allows you to adjust the steering feel, throttle sensitivity, and how the engine and the transmission behave with one another. And then of course you have all your safety features, including eyesight, which is the best in the industry. This car has a 5+ rating through the IIHS. And that is probably one of the most beneficial things that Subaru brings to the table. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in the back seat and see if your furry friends, because I don't want to drive people around, I want to drive dogs around. Let's get in the back seat and see how many dogs we can fit in this Impreza RS. All right, guys, back seat time. And once again, this is another area where when you look at the competition, especially the Mazda 3 and the Toyota Corolla, just how much space there is back here. Now the backs of the seats, you do have the cloth, and you'll notice that somebody's had their dog in here or something, which makes sense because this is a Subaru, but you have the cloth all the way around. On the center console area, you have a USB-C and a USB-A. I have a pocket over here where I could easily keep 2 back scratchers, because a lot of times when I'm driving around, especially on the twisty bits, my back gets a little itchy. It's good to have a back scratcher too. Sometimes I just like to get both sides of my back very easily. Seats though, like I said, comfortable just like up front. And if you want an armrest, you get an armrest. And it's Charmin Soft, actually 4-ply Charmin Soft with 2 cup holders. And then with the amount of room back here, easily get 2 big dogs or a ton of smaller dogs. It depends on how you like to have your dogs in your car. I just advise, please make sure that they're buckled in and safe, because there are family members, and you wouldn't want one of your family members flying outside of the car if, God forbid, something goes wrong. I think the one thing that's missing on the interior How about some red seat belts? That would be worth another 5 horsepower. But why don't we go ahead, let's get into the cargo area and see how much room there is to haul the mail in this Impreza RS. All right guys, cargo area time, and this is where the Impreza is really gonna lay the smackdown on the competition, especially the Mazda 3 hatch and the Corolla hatch. What you're gonna be greeted to is a generous amount of space underneath the rear hatch. How generous is it? You're basically looking at 20 cubic feet of space with the seats up. Fold the seats down, it maximizes out at 56 cubic feet of space. Now what's nice is very low cargo floor. You'll also notice that we have a couple areas for some off-road Twinkies and some drinks. You could also put little bowls in there for your furry friends. And if you're wondering, well, how many furry friends can we put in here? You could put about, I would say, 2 to maybe 3 Huskies, depending on their size, or you could just go nuts and do about 250 Chihuahuas. What's great is, if you think this is a lot of room, like I said, you can maximize it. 60-40 split. I like the way you don't have to go over to the passenger door to lower the seats. Look at how nice and flat that is to maximize. And then of course, let's see what we have underneath. You do have a can of flat fix, so you don't have an actual spare on the Subaru Impreza RS. But you know what? Talk is cheap. I want to go see how this Impreza RS drives. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go out to the twisty bits and go on throttle in our Impreza RS. All right, guys, we're inside this 2024 Subaru Impreza RS. I'm going to manually shift through the simulated gears. I have it in sport mode. And if you're ready, I'm ready. On throttle. All the way out to red line. And this is where we're gonna see the work that Subaru did in the handling department. Wow, definitely getting better feedback through the suspension and into the steering wheel than on your standard Impreza. And of course, visibility out the front, Subaru does so very well. I mean, the balance in what you could see, not only out the front, but also out the back, allows you to feel confident, allows you to feel safe compared to some of the competition, which has some pretty massive blind spots. But getting to the infotainment system, well within reach. I like how comfortable the seats are without feeling like a marshmallow. They're not too squishy. It just, imagine this vehicle, like I said, with the 2.4 out of the BRZ, or to think about a WRX hatchback would be pretty crazy. But it is nice to see the RS name back, and you definitely are getting more oomph in the Impreza. I mean, 30 extra horsepower and 33 pound-feet of torque is nothing to laugh about. And with the work that they did with the chassis to make it 10% more rigid, and also the WRX electric steering rack really helps you through the twisty bits. All right, guys, once again, from a dead stop, if you're ready, I'm ready. On throttle, all slip, no grip. And here we go. Love the way the all-wheel drive works. It really allows you to be playful with it and have fun. Using the paddles just makes it that much more engaging. And it just has a nice overall feel to it. Brakes feel really, really good. And even though we're not on a sport-oriented performance-style tire, you're still getting gobs of grip because of that all-wheel drive system. And like I said, comparing that to the competition, that's where they're really lacking. Unless you go Mazda 3 hatch, turbo all-wheel drive. Then that's on a different level. But remember, we have that fully independent rear suspension where the Mazda 3 hatch and sedan went backwards and went with the torsion solid beam rear suspension. So you're really getting a nice feel for what the asphalt underneath you is doing, and just giving you that confidence and secure grip with the all-wheel drive. All right, guys, once again, this just brings a smile to my face. Being in a car that has all-wheel drive, we got that updated steering rack. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let me put in manual shift mode again. On throttle, here we go. Simulated shifts actually don't feel too shabby. For a CVT, of course. On the brakes. I tell you, you just feel like you could throw it into a corner and the front and the back of the car know exactly what's going on at any given moment. It just brings a smile to your face, and that is what the RS is all about, is helping to increase that smile width. And definitely this car is showing its hand with the versatility of having that massive cargo area, the hatchback design, and then lots of interior space. And remember, the only competitor that I mentioned that does not have a CVT is the Mazda. Both the Honda and also the Toyota Corolla hatch both have CVTs. This also, Mazda 3 has a 6-speed traditional torque converter automatic transmission. But you definitely can feel the difference in the steering compared to a previous gen, especially Impreza, because of the difference in the steering rack and what that's doing for when you move the steering wheel. And then the way the chassis is very balanced. Not a lot of wind noise, not a lot of road noise. And what I like is that the engine noise that you are hearing is real. So that's a nice thing to know, is that you're getting some real flat 4 boxer engine noise rather than some artificial thing pumped through the speakers. All right, guys, one more time for you, definitely one more time for me. At speed, dropping it down, a simulated gear, on throttle, here we go. But I'm telling you, everything is nicely sorted on the interior, on the brakes. I tell you, it's great how this vehicle provides the feedback, because that's what's most important. And when you're comparing it to the competition, look at this left-right transition, holds a line so nicely. When you're comparing it to the competition, horsepower-wise, you're pretty close across each of the different brands. I would like to see a little bit more low down grunt, especially coming off the line. But other than that, it really feels very capable for the type of vehicle that it is. But hopefully this has been a good overall driving portion of the review for you to let you really know what this car is about. We're gonna get back to where it all started and wrap this one up, so I'll see you in a split second. All right, guys, it's been one of those fun, kind of twisty bits days that I love having here on Rady's Rides. I definitely gotta thank Todd, Chuck, and Dominic over at Subaru USA for getting us access to this all new, not only redesigned Impreza, but also the return of the Impreza RS. Let me know what you think. Did Subaru do enough to really make this a hot competitor to go up against the Mazdas, the Toyotas, and the Hondas? Let me know down in that comment section which way you would go. And I know Todd is gonna be examining those comments, so let him know how you feel and where you're gonna spend your money. But if you're new to the channel and you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Rady's Rides family. We gotta give it up to Stephen Flood Photography. He is such a Subaru fan that on his back, he has an 18-inch Subaru tattoo. Perfect, exactly like the badge that you see on the front of this Impreza. So show him some love in the comment section. Thank you, Stephen, for your love and dedication of everything Subaru. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.